So unless there's no burning questions, I think we can proceed with our program. How am I doing, Johnny? What I would like to introduce in the spirit of community, in the spirit of getting to know each other, I would like to invite, first I'd like to quickly introduce our candidates and then invite them to give a brief opening statement. And I just wanted to clarify that they do names at the beginning. So we're going to start with Faisal Hassan, who is the candidate for the New Democratic Party of Ontario. Next to Faisal is Bonnie Hu, who is the Libertarian Party candidate. And next to her is Brad Berry from the Green Party of Ontario. And next to him is Laura Albanese from the Liberal Party of Ontario. So thank you very much for being here. And for a quick opening, and please keep an eye on the time cards, but Faisal, I'll send it to you to introduce yourself.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, friends and neighbors. Thank you so much for the organizers for this debate tonight. I'm thrilled to be here tonight to have a chance to share with you my love for our community, as well as a chance to share with you our plan to change Ontario for the better. Almost 30 years ago, I arrived in Canada, Winnipeg to be exact, on my own, but hopeful for the future. I immediately started working at Eaton's and continued in order to pay my way through school. I earned a degree, I got involved in politics, I tried to make a difference. About 20 years ago, I moved to Weston. My story is a happy story. I have lived here in Weston from Harding to church, while exploring everywhere in between. I'm a friend and a neighbor to many in this community, with a very long track record of helping our four community members. I love our community, but the last 15 years have shown a deep need for change. It is this need that motivated me to run, so I could help more people. Over the last 15 years, life has been gotten harder and harder for most in New York Southwestern. Our community continues to grow each day, richer in diversity and population, and yet people still cannot easily travel to work, access healthcare without being forced into hallways or afford to pay for hydro or childcare. Andrea Horwath and our plan will change that. It is Andrea Horwath's plan that works for Ontarians and puts them first that has further fueled me in this campaign. We cannot afford more cuts. We need to look at investing in the public with affordable childcare for everyone and dental care. With our full costed plan to make life better, we need to make life more affordable for everyone in our community. And that change happens here with reducing our hydro rates and making transit more accessible. I'm intimately aware of the challenges people face in this community as newcomers, but also as a long-time citizens. I was lucky, my story was so happy and has brought me here tonight. And I want everyone to have the opportunity to have a happy story. Every day I hear people on the doorsteps asking for help and for change, for a chance at a happy story. Myself and Andrea Horwath represent a much happier change for the better here in New York Southwestern, a place I'm so proud to call home.
Thank you, Faisal.
Hi guys, my name is Bonnie Hu. I'm running for the Libertarian Party, and I didn't write a speech, so I'm just gonna wing it. I work at a grocery store, and I look pretty young, I know. And I have a business admin diploma from Seneca College, and I've been living in Canada since I was 6 years old. First, I grew up in British Columbia in a small suburban town called Coquitlam. And then I went to high school in Vancouver. And after that, I moved to Ontario when I was 18 to attend the University of Toronto at Mississauga. And then I transferred to Seneca. And after graduation, I went back to BC, but I realized that it was a huge mistake. and I love Toronto the most. And my party, the Libertarian Party, believes in more freedom and lower taxes. Some of my personal issues that I would like to address are more services for immigrants, as in lowering the threshold to help immigrants through education, such as teaching ESL. We have a shortage of ESL teachers because of the high education requirements, and I would like to enable more native English speakers to help immigrants, because our neighborhood is made up of people from all over the world. And I would also like to make finding work easier for young workers. I believe the $14 minimum wage was too large of a hike. And we need to slow down the rate at which the minimum wage is increasing. And another issue I would like to address is decriminalization of all drugs. Thanks.
Thank you very much. And Brad from the Green Party.
How's everyone doing tonight? There we go. Hello everyone, my name is Brad, and I am your candidate for the Green Party in New York Southwest and Riding. I come here today to show you how we can do politics differently. I'm here to put the community first. I'm here today willing to work with like-minded individuals. I'm not here to tear down political parties. I'm here to build communities up. I believe everyone has a right, at least, to a minimalistic lifestyle, with dignity, including nutritious food, warm clothing, safe shelter, health care, pharmacare, dental care, eye care, hearing care, and accessibility. I believe our younger generation needs to look at something with tuitionless undergraduate programs. We need fearless public transportation, and we need accessibility to those who don't have one. I can attest to this when I say that investing in people is a helpful handout. It's not a humiliating handout. We must invest in people because people power change. We should look to uplift one another, and most importantly, I have to say this for we must leave a future generation that's not a dying planet. If we take care of the planet takes care of us. After this election, far into the future, when my son and his kids ask me what would be done to preserve the planet, I want to say I'm able, and I did my best. Will you? A vote for the Green means you believe in these values. A vote for the Green means you too can believe in people power change. Thank you.
Now closing us up for the intros is Laura from the Liberal Party.
Does this work? Okay. Well, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I want to start by thanking all of the organizations hosting this debate this evening, and I want to thank all of you that took time out of your busy lives to be here tonight and to join us. I think it's vitally important in this election to be informed as voters. And I want to say that it's been an honor for me to serve as your MPP for the last 10 years. Our very diverse community is active and truly cares about local issues as much as we care about the other residents, about each other. And for me, the most important job as an MPP is to bring real improvements to the communities that we live in. And allow me please to mention some of the things that we've been able to accomplish together. We're seeing investment in healthcare. The multi-million-dollar expansion of the West Park Healthcare Center is one of the largest investments our community has ever seen, delivering complex continuing healthcare for residents. And as part of this, we have secured a community benefits agreement pilot project that ties government infrastructure projects to local jobs. And 2 additional family health teams and a nurse practitioner-led clinic are responding to our healthcare needs. In transit, we are seeing more investment. The Up Express Go Stop is increasing transit options in Weston and is leading to a revitalized community. Rapid Transit is coming our way with 3 local stops on the Eglinton Crosstown, connecting us to the rest of the city, as well with connections to GO Transit on 2 lines and a stop on the new Smart Track with the St. Clair station. And these investments are creating jobs, and we're also providing training and work placements for young people. All of our schools have now full-day kindergarten. We have secured funding for 480 new childcare spaces, and when the previous federal government pulled out of subsidies for childcare, I fought to save 500 local childcare spaces. We are modernizing classrooms with about $62 million to build new schools, additions, and retrofit. But I want to do more and see these great infrastructure projects through. There are many initiatives in our platform that will benefit our community, like free childcare for children between 2.5 to 4, more affordable
2
tuition
seconds left, Laura.
for college and university students, free medications to seniors and youth under 25, grant for seniors and youth
I'm
organizations.
sorry, I'm going to have to.
These are things that matter for York South and Weston, and I hope to be continue working.
Thanks very much, Laura. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so I am going to call out 2 names, and you come up so that you can ask your question. So number 1, the first person is, please, I'm not going to say last names, just the first letter. I don't want to butcher any names, sorry. Okay, so Angela G is number 1. Can you please come up and read your question? And Peter F.
Thank you, and good evening. I am a member of the Registered Nurses Association of Ontario and a constituent in this room. My pleasure to ask you this question. So in Ontario, there were just 703 registered nurses per 100,000 people, compared to 839 per 100,000 in the rest of the country. Despite the fact that Ontario has the lowest RN to population ratio in the entire country, cuts to nursing positions are still taking place. What is your plan for improving this situation in Ontario?
Go ahead, Bonnie.
The Libertarian Party would like to increase the choices we have in healthcare, and that means offering private alternatives to OHIP. And we do not support rationing healthcare and putting people in lineups. We will have parallel healthcare plans in addition to OHIP. And hopefully that will relieve the stress on the healthcare system we have right now.
Brad?
So, there we go. So nurses are a big important occupation. They do a lot of challenges in the society. And I know a lot of people connected to me that are nurses and have gone through the schools, and they know how hard it is to even find work and jobs. With the Green Party, what we're going to do, especially in the nurses, what we want to do is even increase the nurse and practitioner clinics. I think that's going to be a good start, that we can get the nurses more employment, more jobs, and actually have more care and have more accessibility. So that's the main thing that we want to do. But we also want to take appropriate cost and effective measures while doing that as well. And obviously what we're going to do is reduce the overcrowding in the hospital systems with a wider strategy as well. And that's part of the strategy that we're doing. We're also going to look into increasing the long-term care, and we're also going to find ways that we can actually get nurses inside the homes as well. Because we do know that people do have hard time with accessibility and getting that kind of that care they need. And we want to have nurses be able to provide that care inside the homes, and that will be a way of getting nurses active in this community.
Thank you, Brad.
Well, and I want to start by thanking Angela and all the nurses for all the work that they do in our healthcare system. And I know that you have come to Queen's Park regularly every year. You organize a lobby day that I participate to all the time, and I'm able to sit down with local registered nurses from our riding, and I hear their stories firsthand. So, you know that I am, I want to say, I don't want to say a fan, that's not the word, but I tremendously admire the work that all nurses do, but I also understand the importance of registered nurses. And as you would probably know, our plan foresees an additional registered nurse in every long-term care in Ontario, and I think that will be important, especially for our seniors, and to certainly make sure that our hospitals also see an increased number of registered nurses.
Thank you very much. And Faisal, the first question.
Thank you, Angela, for the question. Certainly we have crisis in our hospitals, overcrowding, hallway medicine, and also it has been created also cuts by the current government of 1,000 nurses since 2015. What we, the New Democrats, are going to do is we're going to increase hospital fundings by 5.3% and 916 million in additional investment. We're going to create 2,000 new hospital beds right now and shorten surgery wait times. We will also not only live there, we will also provide universal pharmacare and dental care as well. And unlike the Conservatives that has also cut 6,000 nurses in Mike Harris' time and have closed 28 hospitals and removed 7,000 hospital beds, we're going to stop those cuts and we're going to invest hospitals and healthcare more.
Thank you very much. We are allowing a very brief follow-up, as long as it is a statement, not a dialogue or debate among the candidates, but certainly a response. And Laura Albanese has requested a follow-up, so very, very short, about 20 seconds or so, please.
So because we spoke about cuts in the hospital, I just want to emphasize that we've been increasing hospitals' funding every single year, and that we are investing an additional $822 million in Ontario's hospital. Do I still have time? And as far as wait times, like in our hospital, for example, the one that serves us, Humber River, is now has in the emergency room, families with children can detoured and can go to another clinic up on the 4th floor, so that reduces the wait time.
Thank you. And Faisal had a follow-up.
Yes, the current government cut hospital budgets, frozen for 4 straight years, and 2017 budget shortchanged hospitals by 300 million. Last year alone, they cut 300 million, also created 3.2 million repairs, backlogs in hospitals. You have 15 years to do something. Thank you very much.
Bonnie or Grant, would you like to reply, or we can move on to the second question? Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hello. Community building has always been important to this riding. It's fundamental. So I'd just like to know what each candidate would do to support initiatives that have a direct benefit on local residents in areas such as economic development, infrastructure projects, community hubs, community benefit agreements, employment skills and training.
Great question. As an urban planner, I like that question. I didn't plant it. Grant, you're going to start off this round.
Thank you for the question. What we're going to do in terms of like investing in communities, I think we have to also look at the schooling systems as well. And what the Green Party is looking at is trying to bridge that $600 per student funding gap between the elementary schools and the secondary schools, which is unfair and needs to be addressed. We also need to invest more so into the classrooms as well, and I think we also need to invest more so into the communities. And I believe that we're looking into initiatives that can help build communities, strengthen the communities is the one aspect that we really need to look at. And that's pretty much.
Thank you. Laura?
Thank you. Community benefits agreement, I think we're born in York Southwestern really, and working together with our community, saw the first investment towards a community benefits agreement in the pilot project of the Eglinton Crosstown. I mentioned in my introductory speech that now we have secured them also for the redevelopment of West Park. I think also working with local community organizations is very important, and also fostering the entrepreneurial spirit that we have in our community. I know that LEF does great work, for example, with the Ontario Bridge Training Program. And also, I want to mention Food Starter, that is a local hub for entrepreneurs, for any inspired chefs. It's an incubator, but also helps you to commercialize your product. And I think we have that right here in York Southwestern, and I just want to emphasize those few examples.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Faisal?
Thank you, Peter, for the question. People in our community are struggling more and more each day to find employment. Young people who have degrees are still struggling. The Liberal government sat on the sidelines for more than 15 years, with more than 300 manufacturing jobs left the province, and Dartford has no plan to bring it back. Our plan includes a commitment to create 27,000 new paid student-to-work placements to give post-secondary students the hands-on experience and they need to succeed in our economy. The NDP would also build on original strengths, be it in mining, innovation in Sudbury, innovation communication technologies in Toronto Waterloo corridors, or advanced manufacturing in Windsor. This strategy will also will allow us to all participants in the future in the economy of our community. Also, we need also to consult the community as well for projects, and also we're going to support our community agreement as well. Thank you.
Bonnie, you can close this out with this question.
We believe that it's not the government's role to start new projects. If there's a project that a community wants, they can fund it themselves. That's it.
Thank you. Any reply? Would anyone like to follow up quickly? Otherwise, we can go to the next question. Brad would like to follow up quickly.
Well, I just don't really agree with that statement. The community should fund for itself. There are a lot of communities in here, and the communities are very diverse. And I think we should look at the investments and help build these communities up. The communities and just the outreach is really how people interact with one another. And I think that there are disadvantages in communities, and it's the government's role to help lift people up out of that situation. The community centers is one of them to do that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next question.
Next question is from Hilda. And Sabrina DeMarco, can you please prepare?
Thank you for answering the question previously. It's very important to us. Will you push for a provincial carbon pricing system that is sufficient for the province to reach its greenhouse gas emissions targets while protecting the vulnerable population?
Thank you. Laura Albanese, you get to start off this answer.
Well, we know that climate change is a real thing, and we're living it through right now. Extreme highs and lows in temperatures and storms and floods have impacted this community in particular as well. So absolutely, we need to meet those targets. And our plan, as you may know, Hilda, makes polluters pay by putting a cap on the greenhouse gases that business release into the atmosphere. And we're reinvesting all of the dollars that we are getting from that. It's nearly $2 billion a year in green projects, and those are making a difference in the community. It's going to retrofitting buildings, it's going to retrofitting, and also the consumer can have benefit taken from that. We have a Green On program that is also very popular. I don't know if I have more time. No, it's okay. That's it.
Thank you very much. Faisal?
Thank you, Hilda, for the question. Yes, we put consider those who pollute will pay most, and those resources will be reinvested in communities across of the province. Thank you.
Thank you. Bonnie from the Libertarian.
I am against all carbon taxes. I don't believe taking more money out of people's pockets is going to help. The best way to address this is to use the civil law. If someone believes something is causing climate change, we should be able to file lawsuits to deal with that. But using more tax is not the answer.
Thank you. And Brad, Greens.
Thank you for the question. Climate change is real. We can't deny it anymore. Climate change will cost us at least $5 billion by 2020. By 2050, it will cost us $43 billion. And now is the time that we need to get to climate change and start looking into renewable energy. The Green Party will invest over $4.1 billion over the next 4 years in the Green Building and Business Program to provide grants and interest-free loans to help homeowners, renters, and businesses invest in energy efficient equipment. Also, we will have to reorient the business development grants to provide funding and incentives for businesses to innovate and invest in low carbon equipment, products, and processes as well.
Thank you. Any follow-ups? I have a hand from Lauren.
Yes, I also wanted to mention that what helps us meet those targets is investing, for example, in public transit, as we're doing with the Eglinton Crosstown, in the expansion of the GO corridors, which will be electrified, by the way. And I know that this community has been fighting a long time for electrification, so all of those corridors will be electrified. And I think it's important to mention that in this community, we have now a battery energy storage system at the former Kodak plants, partnering with Toronto Hydro. That's going to improve the Eglinton Crosstown's line reliability, lower operating costs, but more importantly, reduce emissions.
Thank you. And a follow-up from Faisal.
The community has been fighting for over 10 years for having electrification of the trains. Still to this day, it's diesel trains, it pollutes our environment, and our priority is going to be to make sure that it's electrified and that we plan also projects ahead of time. That we plan at the beginning and...
You got 15 more seconds.
Oh,
Thank you, though.
So we plan ahead of time rather than investing and wasting government's money on diesel trains and then talking about electrifications for 10 years from now.
Thank you. It's like a pause and play button here. Thank you. Bonnie, you have requested a reply. I don't mean to put you on the spot. I'd like to know you're entitled to a reply if you'd like. We can save it.
If the plan for how to fight climate change, and according to my party, is that if you care enough about it, you would be able to donate what you can to organizations that will help solve the problem. But there are people who do not believe in climate change and would not be willing to spend any of their money on carbon taxes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next question.
Okay, this question is for Sherry. And like most provinces, Ontario lacks province-wide incentives for the conservation of heritage buildings or energy efficiency incentives for heritage windows or relief for property tax pressures on heritage buildings. The question is, how would you see your party, you or your party, working on these heritage issues?
Good question. We'll start with Faisal from the MTV.
Thanks, Sherry, for the question. Yes, heritage is important. It's part of us. It's our history. We should maintain those heritage buildings and make sure we invest in. We make sure that also we consider those legislations that we protect them because it is part of us, and we should continue to have that history and continue to also invest in heritage institutions and buildings so that we have history to teach next generations. Thank you.
Bonnie?
I have no plans about heritage buildings. If it's worth enough to people, they would be able to donate and maintain it without any government help.
Brad from the Green Party?
Well, heritage is like very important to us. It is of us, and preserving the heritage is my importance, and it's also the Green Party's importance. But apart from heritage, we should also just look at also other factors, because we are growing as a society. I want to see more of cultural heritage, inclusive of all cultures, because we are, diversity is our strength, and we must do is also accept the fact that there's also other heritage that make this country such a great part of Canada and a great part of us. So I'm all for the heritage. I'm also looking for more spots to become heritage, which is a part of our country.
Well, heritage is very important to me personally, and I think demonstrated that by supporting the initiatives that are going on locally with Western Heritage Society, with also the Heritage District. I was born and raised in Italy, and if you don't preserve history, you don't know where we're coming from. And I think that Canada, yes, is in Ontario, we're a very young country, but if we don't preserve our heritage, how are we going to tell our story? How are we going to tell our very diverse story? So it is very important. And I don't know if you would qualify heritage buildings for the cap and trade funding that is going to the retrofit of buildings, but it definitely should, and it's something that I believe we should look into, and that I will personally champion and advocate for if it's not happening yet. I think it's very important.
Thank you. I was reminded that there was a part of the question that Anne talked about, not just historical preservation, but also incentives for green retrofits so that people wouldn't have to sell their buildings. I didn't hear that specifically from anyone, but if you'd like to address that head on, I'd like to open it, if you didn't mind, for just 30 seconds.
Sure. Yeah.
Faisal, and I think Laura would like to. Thanks. Yes, of course.
So, thank you. I mean, definitely the New Democrats will support that to make sure that we are supporting the green initiatives, that we have resources to encourage the community, those kinds of retroactive investments, because it is also good for our environment. Thank you.
And Laura?
Yes, I believe I had mentioned it, but maybe I haven't been clear, but in my opinion, heritage buildings should qualify for the cap and trade funding that are going to the retrofit of building, and that our plan is we're already offering, and that I would advocate and check in that personally if I have the trust of the people. Thank you.
Thank you. Brad from the Green Party or Bonnie from Libertarian, did you have anything to add?
Well, I just add the fact that that should be a part of it, but I also think that since we're preserving heritage, we should look at it a little bit differently. In terms of investments in funding, we can also look at renewable energy and try to use that as a way to achieve our goals in terms of funding and preservation.
Thank you. Bonnie?
It shouldn't have to be the government's role. If it means, the building means something to people, then they would be able to fund it somehow themselves.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. And next question, I think. Thank you, panel, for letting me boss you around with it. I appreciate it.
Good evening. Thank you. And my next question is addressed to those candidates that chose to participate this evening and speak with the community. If you came to my door, I would like to hear what would be your personal understanding, your personal position on the sex education curriculum.
Good question. We're back to Bonnie for Libertarian to start us off.
Personally, I don't have kids and I don't plan to. So I can't look at this from a parent's perspective, but I believe the sex education I was taught, it wasn't in Ontario, it was in BC, it was lacking. And we do need to teach younger children more about their bodies, which I believe the current government is doing right now, so I commend that. And also, I see a lot of opposition from immigrants saying that this sex ed is too radical, but I disagree. We need to value Western ideals and values more than the traditional ones, because we are more progressive, and I appreciate that.
Thank you. Brad?
As a parent, with me, the sex education, I don't really see too much of a problem with sex education, in my personal opinion, as a parent. I believe that our kids are now growing up in a day and age where they have access to a lot of information at such a rapid age. I, for one, as a parent, have seen that firsthand. So I think what we need to do is we need to really be teaching these kids the proper and safe ways to do, safe ways in the education, and teach them about their bodies and teach them about the progress in life, and looking at the sex education from the grade school. So when we're teaching it up, I see the transition is understandable as a parent, and I don't have much of a problem with it in terms of the sex education. And going forward, in my opinion, like the progress in sex education is perfectly fine for me right now.
Thank you. Laura?
Yes, the curriculum was updated. It was over 15 years old, and we, as a province, were behind all the other provinces and many states in North America. So it was dangerously out of date. I also think that 15 years ago, you didn't have Facebook, you didn't have Twitter, you didn't have Snapchat. There's cyberbullying now. The kids could be lured online, and I think that it's about safety. It's about the kids understanding intent and being able to say no. And the reason that the curriculum was instituted was exactly for this reason. So it's the curriculum that has been most consulted on in the history of Ontario, and I don't think that we should turn back the clock, because we live in a different world now from, for example, when I was growing up.
Thank you. Faisal, if you can bring us home on this question.
Thank you, Bonnie, for the question. Many fears around the new curriculum are a result of lack of consultation. We listen to parents and teachers on the issue, and our plan also focuses on empowering our education system.
Thank you. I have a feeling follow-ups, any requests for follow-up? Otherwise, we're on a good roll. We can continue to question number 6. Sorry.
Tony F. and Paula McDonald.
Just to fill the air, just a little commercial. I want to thank the candidates for sticking to the time and being organized and being respectful and safe for the audience. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
I want to thank all the candidates for being here. It's a very noticeable that there's one party missing. Seems to have been this in the 25th or 26th location of the one major party has been lacking and showing up. So I
This is
appreciate
not
it.
your question.
Right?
This is not on your question.
Oh, all right. Making a comment. How much does your party differ and from the other parties in addressing the public transit issue? How does your platform differ from the other platform?
Thank you. Brad, from the Green Party, lead us off.
Thank you for the question. So, with our policy in the Green Party in terms of transit is that we're looking to fund 50% of the operating costs for municipal transit systems. And what we're also going to do is going to fund the infrastructure by $1 billion per year over the next few years of the projected 2018 budget. Also, what we're going to do is establish a Complete Streets Act, which requires streets and access to Ontario to be planned, designed, and operated and maintained, and enable safe and convenient travel for people as well as pedestrians. Also, what we're going to do for our tax as your MP is that we're going to establish a dedicated long-term fund for municipal walking, cycling infrastructure, which is $2.1 billion over 4 years on the Safe Street roads.
Thank you. Laura.
Well, our government has made the biggest investment in public transit in a generation, the largest transit expansion in Toronto's history, about $14 billion to support the construction of Toronto public transit are being completed, including the Eglinton Crosstown, Finch West and Shepherd East LRT, and the Line 1 subway expansion. And we are committed to the downtown relief line as well, talking Toronto in general. I think that the way we differ, well, with the party that is not here, we're right by Eglinton Avenue. We could have had a subway 20 years ago, so I'm not going to go there. And with the NDP, I think it's mainly that the NDP is committing to pay 50% of TTC operating costs, but we will be providing more funding through the gas tax that is being doubled, and the city can direct it where it needs it most.
Thank you. Faisal.
Thank you, Tony, for the question. Every day, people in our community rely on the Western Jane Kill buses. Often, they left waiting or riding in overcrowded buses each day. The Liberals have not been able to improve this in 15 years of government. Liberals cut $4 billion from GTA Transit in 2010 when Kathleen Wynne was the transportation minister, slashing Toronto City transit city plans from 8 LRT lines to 4, thus creating the Safe Transit City movement. In 1995, the Conservatives famously cancelled the Eglinton subway to Beresford, paying millions to just fill a hole. The NDP will make it a priority to fund the Toronto Relief Line and finally the downtown Relief Line. The NDP will restore the province's traditional 50% funding for municipal transit and planned transit operations to ensure immediate improvements to transit.
Thank you. And Bonnie.
I don't have a driver's license. I rely on public transit. But I don't only take the TCC or GO. I use Uber as well. And there's also other transit apps like Lyft. We need to encourage more competition between transit providers so that prices for private-owned transit options, ride-sharing, will increase so that they will lower their prices to fight for your business. So we should not only invest in TCC or GO. We should also look to other options as well.
Thank you. Any replies on this question? Faisal, and I see Laura as well. Oh, Greg? Greg? Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, Brad.
It's okay, no worries. I just wanted to also add to the fact that what the Green Party is also looking at doing is implementing expert recommendations. And these recommendations were dedicated regular tools that we see are fair and progressive. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at congestion charges, we'll look at parking levies, and we'll also look at the land value tax as a way to review how we're going to increase income and raise revenue.
Thank you. Laura, reply, and Faisal, reply as well.
I just want to say that I think that we've been investing in transit very heavily. I mean, I spoke about numbers about Toronto, but I can speak about $160 billion that are being spent across the province. But I'd like to talk about our community and say we fought very hard for the Stop and Weston. We fought very hard for the Eglinton Crosstown to be positioned to go underground when it continues west. Do we need more buses? Maybe that's something that I'd like to see more of. But also in cycling, we're investing $120 million every single year. So we're increasing the options.
Faisal?
Yes. We will keep transit public and we'll stop the agenda of privatization. So I will just add that as well. Thank you.
Please, no applause, guys. Unless it's for me, right? That's the ground. Next question, please. Thank you.
Hello. I have one question for the NDP and a Liberal question. Andrea Horwath has proposed that student loans will not have to be repaid, and I'm just wondering, how does the NDP propose to recoup payment of these loans, or are the taxpayers supposed to be funding this as well? And the Liberals have proposed free childcare for children under a certain age. And how are the Liberals going to be paying for this childcare?
There's, I guess, there are pointed questions for the NDP and for the Liberals. What I propose is that we continue our order and the candidates can address both or one of the questions specifically. And I apologize, I think with Brad, I may have miscalculated the queue. So on an honor system, I have Laura going next, but I think I might be mistaken. I think Laura is next. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but it'll all finish up in the wash. Or did you want to lead us off with that, please?
Sure, and I'm sorry, I lost count of who's going first or not. So how are we going to pay for the free childcare? Our government has made a choice this year, and that's been presented in our budget. And the budget does show that the choice is to invest in people, because even though the economy has been doing well, people have not been feeling the effects, and the decision has been made to invest in various ways in people. In the budget, there is a chart that shows you that we will be intentionally going into deficit, and that deficit will be of $8 billion will be repaid incrementally within 6 years. It's all costed out.
Thank you. Faisal?
Well, thank you for the question. I didn't get your name. But yes, we are putting people first. It's an investment. And our students have been struggling with tons of debts. And if you look at it, our platform is, we are the only party that have fully costed our platform. And the students, they are having difficulty of paying, actually getting jobs and paying the interest plus the loan. So what we're proposing is we are converting loans to grants and forgiving the interest on that, and also making sure that also when they graduate from universities, that there are 27,000 jobs for co-op jobs for them, so that they right away then they'll be able to start and invest. This is an investment for the long run. And if you go back and look at our platform, OntarioNDP.ca, we will also explain to you more in detail, but it's costed out and it's within our budget.
Thank you. Thank you, Faisal. Bonnie?
For the childcare question, my party believes in lowering taxes so one parent can stay home to look after a child, and also to increase the choices in childcare. And as for student loans, I believe that higher education might not be for everyone, and I don't think free tuition is the answer because there is a surplus of degrees, and trade school is underlooked and might be the right option, and not necessarily university.
Thank you. Brad, I remember you this time.
Still here. So I'll go with the tuition ones. I believe that we are one of the most educated countries in this world, and I believe we should make every effort to stay so. And I think giving access and granting access to people that don't have enough means to do so to get proper education is the one way that the government should step, put their foot forward into doing so. And I think we should also look into publicly funding higher education through public subsidies, and then eventually over the course of time going into more of like a full-out undergraduate program for tuition for students. We're going to leave the post-secondary education or the graduate programs untouched, but what we also want to do in the short and medium term is also freeze the tuition fees for students. So students entering their first year of university can expect to add the same tuition over the next 2 to 3 years before by the time they graduate.
Thank you, Grant. I have a follow-up from Faisal, and I believe followed by Laura.
Yes, I just want to add the question that we are also asking the wealthiest among us to pay a little bit more. And also to pay also corporations to pay their fair share of taxes as well. That's also part of our revenue. Thank you.
Laura?
Yes, I wanted to mention that our plan also provides more affordable tuition for college and university students, and it's basically free for the lowest income, about 225,000 students, but then it's incremental according to income. I also wanted to note, Faisal said that the platform is fully costed, but just for the sake of news, I believe that there was a 1.4 billion error that was admitted by the leader, and I don't know if that's
Time's up.
something.
I can't go back to the second replies, I'm sorry, but any follow-ups from Bonnie or Greg? Thank you. Thank you. Question 8.
Number 8,